Hello, everyone. This is Doug with Awakened by Yahuwah Fellowship Group. I'm alone right now because I had a little bit of time right now before I go on with my brothers and sisters in Yahushua the Messiah. Yes, that is his true name, not JC. And we also call the Father by his true original Paleo-Hebrew name, Yahuwah. But what I'm going to be talking about right now in a quick little study for you guys, for the viewers, and for those that will be watching this, I'm going to be going on a little series and a little short video called Pre-Tribulation Doctrine Exposed / Dispensationalism Exposed. Okay? And what I'm going to be doing first is because to understand why the pre-trib rapture has been so mainstream promoted and so big with so-called Christian theology, we have to understand where did it come from, what doctrine did it originate in, and what false gospel it came from. And that would be known as what many call today replacement theology. And it's known as dispensationalism. Now, what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to share my screen and show you guys pretty much who promoted this very heavily. His name is John Nelson Darby. He wrote the Darby translation, and very scary looking guy. I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of him, but very, very mean looking fella. He was very influential in early Christian theology, the mainstream Christian theology. He was a founding father of the Plymouth Brothers, which I guess is some type of, fraternity or whatever, Christians or whatever. But what he promoted was in dispensationalism that the Christian church replaces Israel. Israel is no longer Yahuwah's people, and some people have alteration of dispensational theology. Even today, they believe that Yahuwah has a bride, which is Yashrael, is the correct term for Israel, and that his son, Yahushua Messiah, has the Christian church. Now, I don't want to go too far into the word church and all that, but you can find that in the Encyclopedia Britannica. The etymology for the word church is actually, in our English, it would be spelled Kirce, which basically was in origin a Greek goddess, which you can look online. Her images of her resemble a lot the mother harlot of Revelations. So basically, we are going to be going into what is dispensationalism. I mean, I just explained a little bit of it, but if you go deeper into dispensationalism, then you get what I like to call is the crutch of dispensationalism. The only way for it to stand is that they need a pre-trib rapture. Because what the pre-trib rapture does for dispensational theology is it pretty much has the Christian church raptured up before the tribulation. So they believe that the Christians will never, ever experience the tribulation. They will not even be on earth. They will be in heaven with Yahushua. And also, dispensational theology falsely teaches that Yashrael, the 12 tribes, are all Ashkenazi Jews. That Jews are Israel. They're one and the same. So when the Christians so-called are pre-raptured up, that the Jews left behind go through Yahuwah's wrath as a punishment for being apostate since the Old Testament. So that's pretty much what dispensational theology teaches. The pre-trib rapture, and I'm going to be talking about why the pre-trib rapture, why dispensational theology cannot be true. Okay, so first I'm going to be going into, in the first half, I'm going to be going to Romans 11 and why dispensationalism cannot stand according to Yahuwah's word. And for the benefit of people watching, I will be putting a shared screen when I'm reading scripture, just so you can see that I'm not making this stuff up. So just bear with me right now. I'm going to go to my Bible app, which is called Bible Discovery. And here we go. So we're going to be going to Matthew chapter 24, verses 29 to 31. Okay, so here we go. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall be appearing the sign of the Son of Adam in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Adam coming in the clouds with great glory and power. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. They shall gather together his chosen from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So in those first three verses, we get pretty much what the basically what the event of the day of Yahuwah is going to be. Now, if you want to, I would even recommend matching those verses up, especially verse 29 up with Joel chapter 2, when it talks about the sun being darkened, the moon turned into blood, and so Yahusha always quoted from the prophets about the day of his second coming, the day of Yahuwah, the day of his fierce wrath and judgment. So it even tells you that after the tribulation of those days, not before. So no, right there, that pretty much exposes the pre-trib, okay? And let's say we wanted to go where most Christians believe about the pre-trib, and go to the one verse they're always quoting from, right? So that would be 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse, I think I'll start from verse 14 all the way to 17. Actually, yeah, I'll start at verse 14. For if we believe that Yahusha died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahusha will Yahuwah bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of Yahuwah, that we which are alive and remain, alive and remain. So wait a minute, the dead in Messiah are not rising yet? Unto the coming of the Master shall not prevent them which are asleep. So there's two different groups, okay? There's Paul's referring to us who are still alive, will be alive when Yahusha comes. And it says those of us who remain, there has to be something that we remain from. But I'm going to keep going. Verse 16, for Yahusha himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of Yahuwah, and the dead in Messiah shall rise first. So the dead in Messiah are rising first, not the living. Okay? Then as we go to verse 17, then we which are alive and remain, again remain. What are we remaining from? Obviously, this is talking about the tribulation. Shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Master. Wherefore, comfort one another with these words. So again, it's saying we who remain. Not saying we who are alive before the tribulation, before the anti-Messiah and the abomination of desolation is revealed. It's saying we who remain, who are left over. Okay? So in my case, I would say being left behind is actually a good thing. We should be left behind. If we're taken first, and that's going to be another part of the thesis, is who get left behind. Now I'm getting a little ahead of myself because the first part is supposed to be about dispensationalism. So sorry guys, we're going on a tangent. Let me go to the verses that I'm actually thinking of right here. So let's say if the Christian church replaces Israel, we should be able to find that. or the Christian church replaces Yahshua al, we should be able to find that in the word, right? We should be able to find that by Yahuwah himself. He's saying, I have a new people, right? Or that Yahuwah and Yahusha have their own brides. Either way, there should be something in Scripture that tells us that, I would hope. So, now, one of the verses I wanted to bring up is, we're going to go back to share screen here. I'm going to go to Genesis chapter 48, verse 19. And this is the introduction to the grafting in of Ephraim. So that's pretty much why I want to use this verse and see if you guys can catch it. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. Now, this clearly is where Paul is getting that until the fullness of the nations come in. And actually, for you guys, I would like to look up that verse for you guys just as a precept and to prove to you guys I'm not making this stuff up. All right, so the fullness until the fullness of the nations. Now, some translations will say Gentiles, but it's pretty much the same thing. So we're going to be going to Romans chapter 11. And let's see here. I always get confused with Romans. All right, Romans chapter 11, verse 25. And right here, it says, let me put my shared screen on again. For I would not, brothers, and that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Yashrael until the fullness of the nations become it. So, Paul clearly is referring to the same event that is literally stated in Genesis 48:19. He's literally telling you that we are grafted in. We are the fullness of the nations, because if you read all of Romans 11, it's all the grafted in concept that Paul breaks it down. Okay, you are a wild olive branch. Now, Yahuwah grafted you contrary to what you naturally are into a cultivated olive tree. So now the wild branches are becoming part of the natural tree. Now, the other branch that is already natural was Yashrael. Now, it says right here in this verse, some of them in part were blinded, meaning some of them were cut off, as he tells you earlier in the chapter, if you read the whole chapter. So I don't want to go through the whole chapter because I don't have much time. I actually, like I said before, I'm actually supposed to be arming my brothers and sisters in our fellowship group, which at the end of this video, I will be leaving a link for you guys to reach out to us. Anyone that wants fellowship, I would love for you guys to join us every Shabbat, every Saturday at 1 p.m. So, but I want to continue here. So that's pretty much the two verses I really wanted to use to expose the dispensational theology. So now we're going to go to what I would like to call the crutch of dispensationalism, which is the pre-trib rapture, which there's a lot of verses we can go through. We already went through Matthew 24, 29 to 31, talking about after the tribulation of those days. Now, if you want the true context too, of what we know as the parable of the seeds and when we are to be raptured, of when the arpazo, which is the Greek term for the rapture, when is that supposed to happen? You actually want to go into Matthew chapter 13, verse 30. And I'm going to put my share screen on for you guys so you can see this stuff. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here. So here we go. We got Matthew chapter 13. And we could honestly even go further up. Let's say I started at 24, right? Matthew 13:24 says, another parable he put forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven, this is Yahuwah's kingdom he's speaking of, is likened, meaning he's about to tell you a metaphor of the kingdom, unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? From where then has it tares? Basically meaning, well, how come there's tares sprung up? You sowed good seed. He said unto them, an enemy has done this. The servant said unto him, do you will that we go and gather them up? But he said, nay, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Okay? Now think about this, guys, and this is, also for Christians listening. How did Yahuwah handle his wrath when Noah and his family were awaiting the flood? Yahuwah told him to prepare, told him to go in a type of barn, the ark, okay? Just something to think of, all right? Noah went into a type of barn. Arad, Meshach, and Abednego were in a type of barn. They were in a fiery furnace, and Yahuwah protected them from the fire. So again, this precept of the wicked will be destroyed, but the ones that are truly Yahuwah's children, the wheat, are preserved. Yahuwah protects them, but that doesn't mean he's going to take them off from the earth. And I also would like to go further into this chapter because we have verses that actually where Yahushua explains the parable. Okay, so it says verse 36 all the way to 40. Then Yahushua sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, he that sows the good seed is the son of Adam. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. Who's the wicked one? Satan. So the tares are being raptured up first. You really think about it, where it says one is in the field and another's taken. The true context is in Matthew 13. It tells you who's taken first. So I really wanted to get you guys, really to see that for yourselves, that we got to understand the context of the word. We got to understand Yahuwah, he doesn't make it hard for us, but he also wants us to understand his word, how he says it. And everything's profitable. All scripture is profitable for teaching, for correction, for rebuking, for instruction in righteousness. Now, if you go to Proverbs chapter 10, verse 30, which I'm using in the LXX Septuagint, I really don't have time to explain what that translation is, but it's a manuscript that was used by the disciples in Yahushua. It's the oldest Old Testament we have access to. It's the Greek translation of an older Hebrew Old Testament, and it was made 1,000 years before the Masoretic text ever was made. So here we go. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 30. The righteous shall never fail, but the unrighteous shall not dwell in the earth. The mouth of the righteous drops wisdom, but the tongue of the unrighteous shall perish. The lips of righteous men drop favor, but the mouth of the unrighteous is perverse. Now, verse 30, I want you guys to focus on, because it is saying the unrighteous will not dwell in the earth. Think about that. They're not going to dwell in the earth. And just for fun, let's test it against other translations. Wow. It says right here in the King James of Proverbs 10:30, the righteous shall never be removed. What? The righteous are not removed from the earth? But the wicked shall not inhabit the earth. So you match Proverbs 10:30 with the parable of the seed of Matthew 13. Yahushua's telling you the children of the devil are getting removed, not his children. Okay? Very important to understand. And I missed a couple of verses from Matthew 13. I just want to go over real quick. We're almost done with this video. I just wanted to make it very brief. Let me see here. This verse 41 of Matthew 13. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out his kingdom all things that offend or make, or let me see. Let me use a different actual translation. I like the Scriptures 1998 for this verse. The Son of Adam shall send out his angels, and they shall gather out his kingdom all the stumbling blocks and those doing lawlessness, and shall throw them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. So right there it's telling you the people that cause stumbling blocks to his kingdom, to his children, which would be the tares, are going to be thrown into the fiery furnace, the lake of fire. So I wanted to end on that pretty much. There's only one other verse I really wanted to go to, and that's Isaiah chapter, 26, verses 20 to 21. And this says, in Isaiah chapter 26, 20 to 21, my people, enter your rooms and shut your doors behind you. Rooms, barn, same type of terminology. Hide yourself, as it were, for a little while until the displeasure is past. For look, Yahuwah is coming out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their crookedness, and the earth shall disclose her blood and no longer cover her slain. So again, that's in Scriptures 1998, which I think makes the most sense and the most really simple translation of that. Now, the King James says, go into your chambers for verse 20. If I go into the Septuagint, Old Testament, it actually says, enter in your closets. So closets, barns, rooms, same terminology. So this is actually the same terminology that is used in other scriptures that I mentioned that talk about they are to go into their barns. So I just want to really drive that home, and hopefully this message blessed you guys. And hopefully you guys got something out of it, and hopefully Yahuwah used me as a vessel. Yahushua Messiah used me as his vessel to preach truth to you guys. And, you know, I don't want to be highly esteemed or anything. I made this video because I'm concerned that people have inherited lies, just as our forefathers, the original Yashraelites, inherited lies and vanity. So I hope this message truly blessed you guys. And I hope that you guys reach out and we get to fellowship with one another. And just a reminder, the Awakened by Yahuwah group is on Facebook, but you can reach me at my email at douglasegna@gmail.com. But if you want to find us on Facebook, my brother Bobby, my sister Kristen, and our other brothers and sisters will be on that group. If you personally message me or my brother Bobby Musab, my sister Kristen Musab, we will add you guys to the group and, you know, just really get to know you guys before we start fellowshipping. But we would love more people to join us on the Shabbat, on the Sabbath. Have a blessed Sabbath, guys. Shalom.